Listen to me carefully. There are nights when the room is completely quiet, the lights are off, and the silence feels louder than everything you heard during the day. A woman lies in her bed with no husband beside her, no arm around her, no voice asking how her day went. And society looks at her and says something must be wrong. But heaven may be looking at her and saying something is being built. Please hear this with the ears of your spirit. Loneliness is not always a punishment. Sometimes it becomes an altar. Sometimes God allows the noise to disappear so his voice can become clearer. There are seasons when God permits a woman to sleep alone. Not because she is rejected, not because she has been forgotten, not because her story is over, but because he is working on parts of her that constant noise, attention, and distraction could destroy. Many women cry themselves to sleep while asking God questions they are too afraid to ask anyone else. Lord, am I not enough? Lord, did I miss my opportunity? Lord, why did other women find companionship while I am still waiting? And sometimes God seems silent, but his silence does not mean his absence. Sometimes he is closer than you realize. There are answers that can only be heard when everything else becomes quiet. And if you stay with me, you will understand why this lonely season may be doing more for you than you can see right now. Understand this deeply. Your value is not decided by who sleeps beside you. Your worth did not begin on the day a man noticed you. And your value will not disappear because a man has not stayed. Before any man ever calls you his wife, God already knows your purpose. Before a ring ever touches your finger, your life already carries meaning. Before anyone chooses you, you must understand that you were never created to beg someone to see your value. A woman who sleeps alone often learns lessons that many people never learn, even inside relationships. She learns how to face her own thoughts without running from them. She learns how to pray when there is no person nearby to comfort her. She learns how to calm herself when nobody is there to tell her everything will be okay. She learns how to listen when her emotions are loud. She learns how to stand when there is no shoulder available. These lessons can hurt. They can feel unfair, but they are valuable. They build something inside you. And that strength cannot always be developed while you are constantly depending on another person. This is where many people miss the deeper meaning. Sometimes the empty space is not empty at all. Sometimes it is where your character is being formed. Sometimes the bed feels lonely because your life is being prepared for something you are not ready to carry yet. Do you know why some relationships completely break women? Because they enter those relationships already empty, desperate, wounded, and exhausted. They hope another person will heal everything inside them. They expect marriage to fix insecurity. They expect attention to remove loneliness. They expect a partner to repair wounds that need deeper healing. They want another human being to perform work that only God can do. And because they are afraid of being alone, they accept people they should have walked away from. They ignore warning signs because they are tired of waiting. They call compromise what is really self-abandonment. They call attachment love because they cannot imagine returning to an empty room. But sometimes God delays a relationship because he is protecting you from entering one before you are ready. That delay may feel painful, but it may also be mercy. Hear me clearly. If you sleep alone tonight, that does not mean you have been abandoned. The God who never sleeps sees you. The God who knows every tear, understands every night when you turned your face toward the wall and cried without making a sound. He saw the smile you wore during the day. He saw the pain you hid when the room became dark. He saw every moment you wondered whether anyone would ever truly choose you. And he did not turn away from you. Stay with me, because this next truth may change the way you see your entire season. There is a kind of strength that can grow only in solitude. There is discernment that becomes sharper when you are not emotionally dependent on another person. There is clarity that comes when your heart is not crowded by constant opinions, mixed signals, or emotional confusion. Some women would have married the wrong man if they had not been given enough time to be alone, heal, mature, and see clearly. Some would have called a dangerous relationship their answered prayer, simply because they were desperate for companionship. Some would have accepted disrespect because they were afraid of returning to an empty bed. But God can use waiting to slow you down. He can use solitude to help you notice what desperation made you ignore. So do not rush your season because other people keep asking questions. Do not accept less because you are tired of waiting. Do not let another person's timeline become the ruler you use to measure your life. Loneliness can hurt, yes. There is no need to pretend that it does not. But the wrong companionship can hurt even more. One can break your heart slowly. The other can damage your peace, your confidence, your direction, and your future. And God cares about what your life becomes. He is not only concerned with giving you someone, He is concerned with who you become before that person arrives. There are women listening right now who believe their lonely nights are wasted. They think every night without companionship is proof that life is passing them by. But no, those nights can become prayer rooms. Those tears can become seeds. That quiet can become training. That empty space can become a place where you discover who you are without another person's approval. God may be teaching you how to be whole before you join your life with someone else. He may be teaching you how to experience joy without depending on constant attention. He may be teaching you how to have peace without needing someone else's permission. He may be teaching you how to build an identity that does not collapse when someone leaves. Think about that. What if this season is not delaying your life, but preparing you to live it wisely? What if the silence is helping you hear things you could not hear before? What if the closed door saved you from a room you were never supposed to enter? This is why you cannot judge your story by what you see today. You only see the current chapter. God sees the whole book, and sometimes what looks like rejection from the outside is protection from the inside. Do not let a temporary season convince you that you have a permanent problem. A woman who has learned how to sleep alone without becoming bitter becomes difficult to manipulate. She does not panic when someone pulls away. She does not chase every person who gives her attention. She does not confuse being wanted with being valued. She does not accept crumbs because she is afraid of having nothing. She can walk away from what is wrong because she has already learned that being alone is better than losing herself. That is powerful. She has learned to sit with herself. She has learned to pray through uncertainty. She has learned to make decisions without asking everyone else to approve them. She has learned that peace is worth protecting. And because she understands her worth, she no longer begs for love. She recognizes healthy love when she sees it. She does not cling to attention. She looks for respect. She does not chase words. She watches actions. She does not allow loneliness to make every person look like an answer. Her solitude has taught her discernment. Her quiet has taught her patience. Her tears have taught her compassion. Her waiting has taught her strength. And perhaps this is one of the greatest things God can build in a woman. The ability to remain peaceful even when life has not yet given her everything she desires. If this speaks to you, remember it tonight. Waiting does not mean wasting. So if you are that woman tonight, do not curse your bed. Do not hate your room. Do not look at another woman's life and assume hers is better because someone is sleeping beside her. You do not know what happens behind another person's closed door. You do not know what she had to survive. You do not know what she is carrying. And you do not know what God is doing in her story. So stop measuring your life against someone else's highlight. Stop asking why their chapter came before yours. Your story has its own timing. God is writing it carefully. And when the right season comes, you will not enter a relationship as a wounded woman begging to be rescued. You will enter as a woman who knows herself. A woman with wisdom. A woman with peace. A woman with boundaries. A woman who knows what she will and will not accept. You will bring value instead of desperation. You will bring strength instead of fear. You will bring peace instead of constant anxiety. And you will understand that love is not supposed to complete a person who has no identity. Healthy love should join two people who have learned how to stand. So do not despise what this season is teaching you. The lesson may become one of the greatest gifts you ever receive. And hear this final truth deep in your spirit. When God is finished with the work He is doing inside you, your story may not look like delay anymore. It may look like precision. What you thought was taking too long may have been perfectly timed. What you thought was a closed door may have been protection. What you thought was loneliness may have been preparation. And what you thought was silence may have been the season when you finally learned to hear. There is a dangerous misunderstanding in our generation. People believe that solitude automatically means rejection. They believe that when a woman is alone, something must be wrong with her. They look at her empty seat and assume she has been forgotten. They look at her single life and assume she is losing. But that is not the language of heaven. Heaven does not measure your value by your relationship status. Heaven does not call you incomplete because you are waiting. Your life is not on pause simply because you are alone. Your purpose is still moving. Your character is still growing. Your faith is still developing. Your story is still being written. So breathe. Stop panicking. Stop forcing what does not belong. Stop allowing fear to choose for you. The right season does not need to be chased into existence. And sometimes the greatest evidence that you are growing is that you can finally be alone without believing that you are worthless. Remember that tonight. Your room may be quiet, but your life is not empty. Your bed may be empty, but your future is not. Your season may be silent, but God has not stopped working. God does not always use crowds to prepare people, and He does not always use companionship to build strength. Many times, the deepest work God does happens when He separates you. Not because He wants to hurt you, but because He wants to shape you. There are seasons when God intentionally removes certain voices, familiar comforts, and emotional support so a woman can hear herself think and hear God more clearly. Solitude is not God pushing you away. It can be God drawing you closer. It is often in quiet seasons that God reveals identity. Because when nobody is clapping, nobody is praising you, nobody is reassuring you, and nobody is staying, you are brought face to face with who you truly are and what you truly believe. You see, many women mistake attention for acceptance. They believe being chosen by a man means they have finally been chosen by God. But God does not build destinies on applause. He builds them on conviction. And conviction is formed in quiet places. When you sleep alone, when the room becomes still, when the phone stops ringing, God may begin asking you questions that comfort once kept you from answering. Stay with me, because this next part is important. There is a strength that comes only after you learn how to stand emotionally without depending completely on another person. This strength is not coldness. It is not becoming hard. It is stability. It is the ability to be loved without becoming desperate, to be desired without becoming controlled, and to be in a relationship without losing yourself. God knows that if certain women enter relationships too early, those relationships can become idols. They can become substitutes for healing and replacements for identity. That is why solitude can train discernment. When you spend time alone with God, your spirit can become more aware. You begin to notice patterns you once ignored. You start recognizing warning signs. You begin understanding your own wounds instead of blaming everything around you. A woman who has never sat alone long enough to heal may enter a relationship while still bleeding inside. And wounded people can eventually spread their wounds to others. God may delay certain things because He wants to stop painful cycles from continuing. Please hear this clearly. Preparation does not always feel like progress. Sometimes it feels like emptiness. Sometimes it feels like nothing is happening. But emptiness is not always useless. Emptiness creates space, and space gives God room to work. He may empty you of unhealthy dependence so He can fill you with wisdom. He may remove fear so He can build confidence. He may quiet emotional noise so He can give you clarity. What looks like loss may be making room for something stronger. Some women would have married out of fear if God had not allowed solitude to confront them. Fear of getting older, fear of being alone forever, fear of what family will say, fear of what people will think, fear that everyone else is moving forward while they are standing still. But God does not build futures on fear. He builds them on purpose. Solitude teaches you how to wait without panic, how to trust without pressure, and how to hope without forcing an outcome. In those quiet seasons, God teaches a woman how to enjoy her own company, and that is powerful. When you no longer hate being alone, you become far less willing to accept poor companionship. You will not tolerate dishonor simply to escape loneliness. You will not trade your values for temporary comfort. You will not make yourself smaller just to fit into a place that cannot hold your purpose. This is where the transformation happens. Solitude can correct the false ideas you once had about love. Many people believe love means holding on at any cost. But God can teach you that love begins with wholeness. When you are whole, you love from freedom, not desperation. You give without destroying yourself. You receive without becoming dependent. You can care deeply without abandoning who you are. This is why God may insist on solitude for certain women. He may be more interested in their wholeness than their hurry. Do not despise this season. Do not call it delay when heaven may be calling it alignment. There is more happening here than you can see. The woman who has been prepared in solitude carries a different kind of authority. She knows God personally, not merely through what other people tell her. She knows peace through experience, not just through words. She has cried, she has healed, she has learned, she has grown. She has faced herself when there was nowhere else to hide. And when companionship eventually arrives, it will meet a woman who is established, not empty, discerning, not desperate, secure, not searching for someone to rescue her. Hear me carefully. One of the most subtle lies society tells a woman is that her worth begins the moment she is chosen and ends the moment she is alone. That lie has damaged confidence, confused identity, and pushed people into relationships they were never ready to carry. God never designed a woman's value to be measured by marital status, companionship, or the presence of a ring. Before any human being affirmed you, heaven already knew your value. Identity comes before relationship. If you do not understand who you are before someone enters your life, you may lose yourself when they leave or disappoint you. Many women become emotionally homeless because they build their sense of self around another person. They begin believing that another person's presence gives them identity. But God, in His wisdom, teaches that identity must be rooted in Him because He is the one constant foundation. People can change, people can leave, people can disappoint you. But your value does not disappear when someone else changes their mind. Your value is already within you. It is not something another person negotiates with you. It does not become greater because someone wants you. And it does not become smaller because someone delays choosing you. You are valuable when nobody noticed you, and you will remain valuable when people misunderstand you. God does not value you only because of what you can provide to another person. He values you because you are His workmanship, carefully created, intentionally formed, purposefully placed. Many women are exhausted, not because life is always impossible, but because they are constantly trying to prove themselves. Prove that they are lovable. Prove that they are enough. Prove that they deserve to be respected. Prove that they are worth staying for. That is a heavy burden. But God never asked you to audition for love. When you understand your worth through Him, you stop performing for acceptance and begin living from assurance. That changes everything. A woman who knows her worth does not need to compete with everyone around her. She does not have to compare her timeline with another woman's story. She understands that God writes different journeys, not identical copies. Comparison speaks the language of insecurity, and insecurity becomes powerful when identity is weak. But when your identity is settled in God, comparison begins losing its grip. You stop asking, why her and not me? You start asking, what is God building in me? That is a completely different question, and it can change the entire way you experience your season. Hear this truth and do not forget it. Marriage is not a prize for good behavior, and being single is not a punishment for failure. There are different seasons, different assignments, and different paths. God works differently in different lives. When you define yourself by your current season instead of your source, you will always feel unstable. Seasons change, people change, circumstances change, but God remains constant. Many relationships struggle because women enter them asking a man to tell them who they are. They need constant reassurance, constant attention, constant validation. They need someone else to repeatedly confirm that they are lovable, important, and enough. That creates pressure no human being was designed to carry. A partner can love you, support you, encourage you, and walk beside you, but he cannot become the foundation of your identity. When that person fails, withdraws, becomes distant, or disappoints you, the entire identity you built around him can begin to collapse. That is why God may use solitude to rebuild the foundation before bringing companionship. He may be teaching you to know who you are without applause. He may be teaching you to remain steady without constant reassurance. He may be teaching you to love without losing yourself. And if you understand this, you will stop seeing your quiet season as evidence that something is wrong with you. You will begin seeing it as a place where something important is being built. So do not rush because someone else has arrived before you. Do not force what is not ready. Do not accept a relationship simply because you are tired of waiting. Sometimes the delay is not denying you love. Sometimes it is protecting the person you are becoming. And here is the part many people overlook. The longer you learn to stand without depending on another person's presence, the more clearly you can recognize healthy love when it appears. You stop choosing from fear. You stop choosing from loneliness. You stop choosing because everyone around you is asking when it will be your turn. You begin choosing from wisdom. You become able to say no without feeling guilty. You become able to walk away without feeling like your entire future has disappeared. You become able to wait without believing you have been forgotten. That's not weakness, that is maturity. That is strength. And perhaps the greatest sign that solitude has done its work is this. You can finally be alone without feeling abandoned. You can sit in a quiet room and still have peace. You can sleep in an empty bed and still know your life has meaning. You can see another woman's relationship and celebrate her without using her story to attack your own. You can wait without becoming bitter. You can hope without becoming desperate. And when the right companionship comes, it will not have to save you from yourself. It will simply meet you where you already learned how to stand. Remember this tonight. Solitude is not proof that you have been rejected. Sometimes it is evidence that you are being prepared. The silence may be uncomfortable, but it is not meaningless. The waiting may be difficult, but it is not wasted. And the season you wanted to escape may be the very season that teaches you how to enter your future with wisdom, peace, and strength.